Okay, so maybe we can start.
Go ahead.
So, good evening. First of all, we had a video contest and announced the winners recently. Can you tell us about the selection process and how many videos did you actually watch, and did you have queries maybe about the videos?
There were about 200 videos made altogether, and there was no way we had the time to watch them all. So actually the guys from Nuclear Blast checked out every single one and sent us what they thought were the 9 best ones. And we then watched those 9 as a band, and everybody gave their votes for the 3 best ones.
Great. So you have a splendid state ahead of this. Who was the designer of that?
Basically it was me and a Finnish guy called Mikko. In Finland he's a really famous lighting designer. He does all those, dances with stars and idols and all that stuff. He knows everything about light. So I just thought that this time, since we try to take this idea of doing a Nightwish show to a whole different level, to do something else than normal rock and roll show, try to put a little bit circus and theater into it, and definitely those screens. So I just thought that Mickey would be the only guy who can handle the whole thing, the lights, the pyros, everything. So we basically designed it together.
And what is that around your keyboard?
It's supposed to be kind of like steampunk organ rock. But actually it looks a bit like that, and a mixture of something out of The Little Mermaid. Under the sea, a little bit like that. But yeah, it's supposed to be those organ pipes.
Okay, feels like that. So when planning the set list, were there any songs that some of the band members really insisted on playing, but you said no for some reason?
No, it was on the other hand. I really wanted to do the Wayfarer, for example, but then both vocalists, Marko and Anne, said that there are much better songs that we can use.
Okay. I think both your singers show more colors on this album than ever before, and also on stage they seem to interact a lot. And for me, especially, Marko seems to be much more inspired. So how do you recognize anything like that, and how do you see their effect on each other?
Well, one of the biggest differences compared to the previous tour is definitely Annette's confidence. We already hear it on the album, and you can see it in the live situation. But the thing is also that we never calculate in advance what to do on stage that much either. We never do this choreography, what to do when, and all that stuff, so it should all come out naturally. All I told them was that I don't speak so much in between the songs, because this is more of a theater than a rock and roll show. And we want to avoid the classic, are you having a good time tonight? Because it's not part of the show like this. It kind of breaks the hypnosis, in my opinion. I mean, you have to interact with the people, get some kind of contact to them, but I like the idea of being sort of a faceless, distant band, and let the music and the visuals do the show.
Okay, can you see a change in the attitude of the audience towards Annette on this tour?
Yeah. I mean, it was surprisingly good on the previous tour, but there were middle fingers every now and then, and so far we haven't seen a single one. So I guess people who don't like her don't come to the shows, and that's the way it should be. Yeah.
That's great. You released the tour edition of Imaginarium, which includes CD orchestral tracks. How much were you involved in the editing process of that song?
It was mostly done by Mikko Karmela, the guy who mixed the album. He just sent me all the files, it is okay, and I listened to them through and approved, yeah, this is just fine. The main emphasis on the tour edition is definitely the documentary. We put a lot of effort into that, into editing and doing it a nice little extra package.
Okay. The deadline for finishing the movie was set for the end of April, and it's the 29th today. So what can you tell us at the moment? Maybe guess about the premiere date?
Well, it was definitely to be expected that some delays would occur, some financial trouble would occur, and all that has happened, but in a much smaller scale than we anticipated. So the movie should be actually finished in a few weeks, and the premiere will definitely be in the fall. We're almost finished. Almost. That's just some effect shots that don't look so good as we expected, so we need to find some cash to get those scenes done better. But it's like really small things. I mean, 80% of the movie looks really good, and the sound design is really cool. The additional score is perfect. It's just some visuals here and there that we need to improve, and the movie is finished.
Okay, what was the most shocking little detail in movie making? Something that you would have never thought of, but still it needs careful planning, maybe besides the money stuff.
Also, how to save the money. Well, I was a bit surprised because if you compare it to the music business and Nightwish, the band has all the control. You can pretty much decide what kind of music to do, where to play, and all that in a way. And once we gave this imaginary movie away for production, there's only so much we can influence anymore. There really isn't. Even though the idea of the movie came from us and all that, it's producers and the directors who are doing pretty much all the deciding, so to say. I understand it completely now. That's how it works in the big world. I was a bit shocked in the beginning. No hard feelings though. Everybody's doing a really good show. It's just the whole movie thing is living its own life at the moment. And I'm just, what's going on? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so let's imagine that the movie hits the theaters and becomes a huge success, and maybe you get a call from a studio or agent or whatever, and they offer you a deal to make a second part. Would you say yes?
I honestly haven't given it any thought. It's been so rocky road to get this film done. At the moment, it is such a decent idea to do another one. It's been really hard, but never say never. I love movies. I'm really proud of this upcoming film, so we just don't have to think about that kind of stuff just yet.
And what if you won the lottery? Would you retire, or did you invest into something even bigger than a movie?
I would never retire, no way. I have absolutely no interest in money in this world. Absolutely nothing. I mean, at the moment I have no idea how much money I have on my bank account or how much we're making tonight. It's just irrelevant. As long as the salary comes and I can, go traveling and buy food and, have a good time, it's enough for me. But winning the lottery, there are maybe some ambitions that could be fulfilled with the band. Finally get the orchestra on stage or ballet dance. Yeah, something like this. Yeah.
Is there anything that you thought to be completely common and normal, but after visiting afterwards you have to realize that it was something very Finnish?
What?
So, is there anything in the world that you thought to be completely normal and common, but after visiting afterwards you had to realize that it was something very Finnish?
Very Finnish?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, a characteristic of your nation or country or something.
Oh, okay.
Like something you've never been aware of before that.
That's a really tricky one. I'm trying to think. Because the cultures and the people, they do change a lot from country to country. But maybe the Canadians, they are as close to Finns when it comes to nature and the characteristics of the people as it gets. For example, Americans are quite a different breed. Not to mention South Americans, Southern Europeans, Japanese. It's a huge difference all around the world, which is only a good thing. But Finnish people are such a unique breed that it's hard to find. I mean, you guys in here, I think you're like one of the closest.
They say,
They say, yeah, it's like Finland, Estonia, and Hungarians.
Yeah.
When it comes to the language, at least, yeah.
Okay. And do you keep with you on tour anything against homesickness?
I don't have homesickness. It's kind of funny.
Oh.
The thing is that I really love doing this. I love the wandering around and playing. And the fact that I know that in 9-10 days I will be at home, that makes all the difference. Because I know I will be there. I get to spend some time at home by the campfire. You know, why would I miss it? Because it's going to happen anyway. And this is such a great speed here and having these adventures, so I don't feel homesick at all.
And several years ago you said that you would not feel comfortable to write something in your native tongue. Looking at the latest 3 albums, we had Lola Mountain, Ermanim, and Taipatali.
Yeah.
So what happened? Have you mastered the language maybe?
I think it's like you're trying to find new ways of writing songs and you want to give a good challenge to yourself. And I've never been happy to any of the songs in Finnish that I've done, the lyrics, and still haven't. So that's why I do them. Finally I nailed it somehow.
Erman is so beautiful. Well, with my eyes in Finnish.
Yeah, it has its moments, but it's still so much harder to write in Finnish than in English for some reason. But it's also a territory that I would like to try a bit more in the future, because of its difficulty.
Okay. Can you maybe recommend us some Finnish writers, maybe the 3 most influential books that everyone should read who's interested in your culture?
Well, obviously number 1 would, I don't know if she's Finnish or Swedish, but Tuve Jansson and the Moving Books. That's definitely number 1. You should read them all. They're all fantastic. Every single one is pure magic. I'm a huge fan. So that would be my number 1. Then when it comes to poetry, there's a guy called Tuomas, which I really like. It's really melancholic but heartwarming stuff. So Kailas, K-A-I-L-A-S. Yeah. I don't know if it's been translated into other languages, but he's my favorite Finnish poet. And of course, Mika Valtari. Everybody knows him, and he has some really good historic stuff.
Okay. And as far as I know, you have some plans about writing fiction. What can we expect? What kind of story?
What did you hear this? Oh. Well, but yeah, I've been writing some stories for the past year, just like little novellas or whatever you call them. And I have no idea if it's ever going to be released, but it's just a hobby beside doing music. And there was one publisher who read those stories, and she was really enthusiastic and said, well, let's make a deal, but you need to write like 10 more stories. So maybe in 5-10 years they will be published. Kind of like weird tales, fiction, poetry, that kind of stuff.
Have you ever felt that you like maybe you should study creative writing in some way, or did you have any theoretical support for writing lyrics?
I never have, no. I don't think that. Now that you mention, I don't think I need any advice on writing lyrics, but when it comes to writing fiction, yeah. Because I've been writing those stories and I kind of like the idea behind them, but something in them just doesn't work. So I've been asking actually from the publisher to give me some advice. What's wrong with this? You know, what's the proper way to make the reader actually care about the characters of the story? It's a fine line. Yeah.
Well, you is vegetarian and honest in the gym all the time, and as far as you know, Marcus was drinking. Have you considered following the example in any way?
Have I considered what?
Following their example in any way.
Well, I do quite a bit of gymnastics when I'm at home. I go to the gym and try to take care of my fitness. Not so much on tour though. I'm a bit lazy. But yeah, when I'm at home, I do take care of myself. And when it comes to drinking, I never had any problem with that, so I just keep on doing my stuff with that.
Okay. What are your hobbies now on this tour? Maybe some interesting group activities?
During the tour?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're playing poker dice backstage all the time.
Magic tricks?
Yeah, that too. Troy's doing those
Okay.
all the time. And then the technicians are playing badminton. They always put up this net and they play badminton. Some sightseeing, like yesterday. We also like to eat well, go out and eat sushi, Indian, whatever.
Okay. When you started to listen to metal music, did you immediately start to follow these cliches like wearing dark clothes, maybe putting posters on your wall or anything like that?
There's only been one band poster on my wall ever for about 2 weeks. That was Metallica, and I found it, and I just thought, my thing. Yeah, I started to wear black and started to grow my hair when I joined the band and all that. It's just a part of the thing that feels natural to do. But I have never ever been like this, how do you say, it's all metal, it's all true metal. I think that's just a crappy thing. It's just the kind of music that I enjoy listening. About 15 years ago, I really enjoyed listening to the more extreme stuff like Norwegian scene and that kind of stuff, which I really like still. But this stay all black and true metal thing is kind of fascinating.
I agree. Anyway, do you have surprising or even embarrassing issues in your CD collection?
Well, the thing is that what is embarrassing because, I
don't know, no one would expect you to have Lady
have
Gaga or something like that.
There's nothing embarrassing about Lady Gaga. She has great songs. The problem is that I don't think her albums are that good, just my opinion. Because when I heard Poker Face, it was, wow, it's a really good song. And when I listened to the whole album, it was like, okay. I like Celine Dion, for example. There's nothing to be ashamed of that. I just... Eminem, it's really good.
That's surprising.
Surprising, yeah, but embarrassing. You can listen to whatever you...
Yeah, just those true metalheads, maybe they would find it embarrassing. That's what I meant, but of course, there's nothing.
Well, that says something about true metalheads. So.
Yeah. Okay, last question. We don't really expect you to go into details on this one, but do you have the main idea for the next album?
Nothing settled, but yeah, we have been talking about what the next album is about and what it's going to be like, how we're going to do it. And it's on a quite solid foundation, and we have quite a good idea. But we'll not go too deep into that.
Okay. Anything that you'd like to share?
Maybe some wine later on, but yeah. For now,
Thank you very
it
much.
was a very good time.
Kiitos. Yeah.
Ole hyvä.